Hi, it's Rachel Maldonado, and I am with Tommy Carrigan. And, Tommy, I'm super interested in your take on the masculinity crisis. Is there a crisis?
Yes, because you were just telling me about how you met a furry on a plane. He was very proud of that. That in itself, that's the answer to the question. There are men who not just in the privacy of their own home, but on a plane will insert themselves into a conversation to say, "Excuse me, I am a furry." That's a problem. That is a problem.
Why is it a problem, Tommy?
It's just not the most. I guess who knows? Maybe this is my own prejudices, my own arrogance. It's just that's that's not a very manly or masculine if we're going in a masculine crisis. Is there anything objectively wrong with it? No, I suppose not. But if we're gonna look through the lens of is it masculine, I would say definitively it's not. It's just not. You're not who dresses up as a when I was a kid, I used to like think dinosaurs were cute. When I was like 5, I wasn't a man. I mean, biologically, like I wasn't producing as much testosterone. My balls didn't drop. Like I wasn't capable of reproduction because I was a boy, not a man. I'm 33 now. Biologically, anatomically, I'm a man, right? And I'm pay for my own bills. I work out. I would say those are manly things, but I'm not like a fucking Viking and not like a lumberjack in that sense. But I also know enough to not if I ever was a furry and I did that on my own and I never talked about it on the podcast, but like once a week I would, maybe meet up with another dragon or something and we'd put on our furry costumes and fuck each other in private. I'm enough of an intelligent human to know that it's a bit out of it's a couple standard deviations out of the norm. And if I was on a plane and I heard other people talking about furries, I wouldn't inject myself. I would do what I often do as a in a generation of ungrateful communists. A lot of people my age aren't for the things I'm for. They think that Anthony Fauci is created by God himself and he's here to put spike proteins in our blood because he loves us. And hey, although I disagree, and I'm very open about that on my podcast, I have enough social intelligence to not address those things. I just don't bring them up. Instead, I find other mutual things, talk about whatever's on TV or, the news or video games. That alone is an adult thing. And as a male, I would say that is thus a masculine thing. To to I don't know, to there's an environment that means that guy didn't this wasn't some here's how I should word it. This wasn't some like Rosa Parks moment where it's like go to the back of the bus and she says no. This isn't like the first furry to be like, yeah, I'm taking a stand. That I'm gonna inject in this conversation in an enclosed metal tube in the sky and tell him like, hey, I'm a fox. No, that he felt comfortable enough because it's become a norm. That's not that's not traditionally masculine. Now, again, objectively, is it wrong? No, but it's not. You can't look at that and say, yeah, it's something's up. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I've never really put a whole lot of thought into it, but I suppose this is a question of the day.
Do you think that masculinity norms are changing? People are saying, I'm masculine. It doesn't look the traditional masculine.
Yeah. And again, it's not objectively good or bad. That's one thing I always try to look. I mean, it's like I've never served in the military. I couldn't I couldn't hunt and provide food if my life depended on it. Right? I can go out and I can use my brain. I can have a job. I can make money and buy food for a family. But, I think most men my age, really probably for the past several generations, couldn't traditionally survive like a caveman or something. So if you take that same extrapolation, you would then say we are clearly moving along a spectrum.
Mm,
right? I mean, I grow up and the parents are, oh, you're on your phone. And it's like, well, the generation before that, it's, oh, you're on your TV. And the generations
mm.
before that, oh, you're on your radio. It's like clearly there's a shift in technology. It's not good or bad. It's a thing that is happening. So I would say masculine roles are changing, but that that's not good or bad. It's a it is an observable change. We are, as Homo sapiens, we are over generations are we have less and less hair on a smaller and smaller surface area of our body. That's not good or bad. I mean, if you like hairy guys, you might say that's bad. If you like hairless guys, you would say that's good. But objectively, on a spectrum, over time, you would say there's less hair. That's undeniable. Now, whether or not it's good or bad, I don't know. You'd have to, in what frame? So, are masculine roles changing? Sure, but you know, I would be hypocritical if I said I think it's all for bad, because in that universe or in that light, I should be a complete failure. In that I'm 33, I haven't already produced kids. I don't own a farm, and I don't know how to hunt fucking bears for my family. By that definition, I'm a total failure. In my own definition, I'm my own boss. I wake up whenever I want and I get to talk to people in the comfort of my own home every day for a living. I'd say that's cool as shit. And in 200 years, doing this might be as alien to men there as hunting and skinning, lions is to me. So, is a change happening? Undeniably. Is that objectively good or bad? I don't think it's objectively good or bad. I think it's a thing that is happening.
What do you think are some of the most blatant changes to masculinity in 2023?
Um, Really the entire, I guess it's not like a unique idea and it's been beaten to death, but just the concept of gender roles.
Ooh.
There is, I'm all, I mean, no, I would say it's objectively bad to say like women should have to raise kids. It's objectively bad to say like, men belong in the mines and women should be, rearing babies. Like, no, that is an antiquated thing. You should be free to go do whatever you want. Just like I shouldn't have to go be a mountain man. If I want to do a podcast, I should be able to do a podcast. But there seems to be it's like, how do I word this? The idea of the man can be the stay-at-home caretaker and the mom can be the breadwinner. That is, you'd say, yeah, you're free to go do whatever you would like. The furries. I look at it and go, I think it's weird. You're an adult. You're with another consenting adult. You're in your own bedroom. Who the fuck am I to tell you what you can and can't do? It would be if the furry then turned to me and said, "You now have to be a furry. There, no one can do anything but this." You go, well, hold on. I just said let's basically agree to disagree. And now you're turning around and saying, no, you got to do what I want to do. So I look at it as like, it's fine. Woman wants to go be the high powered corporate mom and dad wants to be stay at home. Go for it. What do I care? There
Mm.
seems to be an inversion where people are now taking that and going, it is evil to even address the notion that women have feminine traits that are objectively more soothing and calming and loving to the rearing of a child, and men are objectively a little more rough around the edges. I love my mom and dad to death. I would take a bullet for both of them. My mom was definitely the one to raise us. And my dad, conversely, was the one to go out and bring home the bread. Just is what it is. And it's okay if you don't agree with that, but there seems to be a general hatred of it now to say, no, no,
Mm,
no, 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 no. The woman is absolutely not like never to be the mother. And like the man
mm,
should not be an aggressive breadwinner who, you know, brings home what needs, does what needs to be done in order to put food on the table. It's like, wait, no, it's the furry saying, it's me going, hey, you can do whatever you want, Mr. Furry. And the furry saying, and you can't do whatever you want. It's like, wait, what the fuck? There seems to be like a general hatred of the idea of to be a man, to say like I'm gonna fucking, wake up and go to the job I don't want to do, but I'm gonna do it because, I can go out and go, you know, I can go make a living for the family and the mom stays home with the kids and I can go out and do that. There seems to be this general idea of like that's toxic. That's evil. It's like what the fuck? It's like what? And so it makes me then want to throw it all out, throw out the
mm.
baby with the bathwater, to be like, no, fuck you, you know, like, hey, fuck that furry. Like, originally I said, yeah, go do whatever you want, but you give them an inch of power and they take a mile. So I don't know. I mean, it does seem to be a total rejection of everything. That's like, why, why? I don't know. Like an overcorrection.
Mm.
I don't
You
know.
think the attack on masculinity, that there are men who want to reject that then?
Yeah, and I also do think that in general, I mean, that's what you would want to do if you wanted to slowly erase any potential threat to your own power. Because
Mm.
make no goddamn mistake, the people in charge, the people running the Pentagon,
Yes.
the intelligence, all 17 intelligence communities, the NRO, the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, the DNI, the DIA, the ODNI, all this shit, the people getting procurement for tanks and aircraft carriers, they're masculine. They're running the fucking world. They're starting wars everywhere. We're getting pipelines built and shipping lanes, and we've been doing this shit for a century and a half. They're masculine. We have no problem with that, right? But you don't want anyone masculine that could threaten your throne. So they have weapons, but they want to reduce the weapons that we can own. So if I'm in charge and I'm trying to run my empire, I would very much want to cast in a negative light the idea of being an independent man that goes out and doesn't take no for an answer, because that's how I would whittle down and erase any potential threat to my own power. That's what I would do.
Mm.
You know, if I was a woman and I was looking at a bunch of like available bachelors and I was Machiavellian, I would start telling all the other ladies, it'd be like, why do we have to shave our armpits? Why do we wear makeup? That's gross. Why do we have a nice figure? We should all wear trench coats. And then all the while, I would go hit the gym and look as feminine as I could. And then so when it came to going to get a guy, I'd be like, I got the pick of the litter. That's what I would do. I mean, if I was really fucking cutthroat, well, what would you think the inverse is? The most cutthroat thing, the most masculine thing is to push a narrative that being masculine is bad, because it's the smartest way to erase any potential threat to your own power. That's what I would,
Mm.
if I was a guy and if I was more intelligent, I would be going on with this. I'd be going, no, it is good. Men shouldn't fucking work out. Testosterone's bad, guys. Don't eat meat. Don't lift weights. Don't own
Mm.
guns. Women don't want that. And then I would go do all of those things and get any woman I wanted. You know what I mean? But I think that's
Very
evil, and
Machiavellian, like you
it's
say.
and then it's the balance of like I think it's more masculine to go out and like not undermine others, but to instead win on my own. But if I was really fucking evil, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, that's what I would do. Sure.
So do you think that the women, they still like masculine? Because you gave that,
Objectively,
example.
yes.
Yes, how so?
Objectively, men still want feminine women. I freaking from college, some of my best friends had women, strong, independent women. Hey, go for it, go for it. But you get those same guys fucking shit faced, and they tell you you're having a cigarette at 3 a.m. on the back porch, and they're talking. You'll even get those guys, the super progressive. You'll get them to like slip up and be like, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind a stay-at-home mom," and they'll slowly walk it back, like they just admitted something, like they just admitted state secrets, like oh shit, I'm gonna get executed now. Same thing. Those same ladies. It's the same thing. You get them completely, and it's not a bad thing. This isn't like you're. It's not like you're getting comfortable and lubed up with alcohol and you're admitting something wrong, like I'm gonna go rob a bank. No, you're it's you admit it's like I always work out and diet. I get drunk, yeah. I'm like, you know what? I'd really like some McDonald's, but I'm not ashamed of it. It's why am I not ashamed of it? Because it's genetically what I am. I'm a carbon-based life form that wants fats, carbs, and proteins. I don't shame it. I go, yeah, I try to avoid it, but god damn, it's tasty. Deep down, and I'm not saying it's objectively true. There might be some women that objectively hate that in a man. And you could put them through a lie detector test and you go, wow, they're not lying. And vice versa. They are a minority and they are by definition a minority because we wouldn't exist today if it wasn't the majority rule of let's reproduce and create another generation. We are here at the end of the line of thousands of generations of copulation. If if fucking a member of the opposite sex wasn't the majority opinion, we wouldn't be here. It would we just wouldn't be. So yeah, I think ultimately that is still where it goes. I could be
Why
wrong though.
do
I mean, fuck do I know?
why do you think your friends or men you know, why are they saying the party line or going along with an agenda, an attack on themselves, on masculinity? Why do they openly say it and then secretly, you know,
I think it's a
the
lack of
alcohol in, they say the truth?
I think it's a lack of independent thought. And the inverse goes for conservative viewpoints, right? I mean, the conservative viewpoint is you have to go against the theoretical threat of global warming. You have to be against electric cars. You have to. But have you ever really broken that and go why? We don't bat an eye. You go, oh yeah, Republican, American flag, owns a gun, and he probably thinks oil's good. But I mean, really break that down. What in God's name does that have to do with conservatism? Conservatism? Am I saying that right? Am I having a stroke? What does that actually have to do? It really doesn't. But it's part of the party line. It's just the ones who are Republicans also, those are the companies that lobby from ExxonMobil. What does being a liberal have to do with being a vegetarian? But no, neither of us bat an eye. We go, oh yeah, of course. Why? Okay, maybe you could say more feminine traits or more you know whatever, and it's not about factory farm. Okay, maybe yeah, renewable sources of food. Okay, maybe, but actually break it down. What in fucking God's name does that have to do with? You could say Democrat, more social programs, more higher tax. Okay, sure, all right, economically you get it, all right, but what does that have to do with veganism or smoking pot? But without batting an eye, we do look at that and we go, yeah. So I think it's that you take it because that's what you are, right? If I had the money, I would buy a Tesla because they're fucking cool. I'm conservative. I don't, I don't, I tend to not really buy into global warming in the sense that it's man-made or that if it is that we can do anything to stop it. I tend to think it's just kind of a train that's going on its own thing. But I don't have some like die hard like I drive diesel no matter what. If I wanted one, I would buy diesel, but I'd really like a Cybertruck. Now, if you talk about that, or it's like me saying, if you're a furry, go do whatever you want. But don't you think that marriage is traditionally between a man and a woman. Traditionally, yeah, but I don't know what that has to do with I'm conservative and I want lower taxes. I don't give it. You want to dress up as a platypus and go fuck a fox? What do I care? What do I give a shit about? Go do whatever, right? But if you don't think independently and you instead just subscribe to it the same way you subscribe to a baseball team, you go, I'm conservative, which means I watch Fox News and Sean Hannity told me this. So inversely, you might be liberal and you might think it's important to have a safety net, and it might be, it's important to, to have stronger welfare systems. But if you're not a very strong, independent minded person, you're going to start taking in all viewpoints, which would potentially include men shouldn't be the breadwinners, women should be, and thus you're just buying right into it. So it's not
Mm,
that they're even doing it at a higher proportion. It's just that it's the inverse of conservatives that are, you know, we gotta go fucking go do. We got oil's got to keep coming. Like, yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, we do need oil. It's a very energy dense, or it's a very dense energy source. I don't, I don't see like the if you're conservative, you gotta hate electric cars. Why? They're fucking sexy. They're fast. What do I? Huh? Right? So that's what I think it is. I think it's a lack of independent thought. I'm for this, and thus, you know, I'm also for this. Like, no, I think you can be conservative, own a bunch of fucking guns, have a big truck, and still look at two furries and be like, true conservatism is going, I don't want the government in my life, be it with taxes or saying who I can fuck. That's real conservatism, is to
yes.
go, you're a fucking, I shouldn't know whether or not you dress up as a fox. That's none of my business. So it's that. It's you're taking the whole thing hook, line, and sinker, going, I'm part of all of this. You don't have to be. I also could be entirely wrong with everything I just said. Who the fuck? I'm 33. I have no goddamn idea what's going on in the world.
So the lack of independent thought, perhaps some of the men are going along with the current narrative. And do you have any friends or experiences where there are some men who buck the narrative if they like being masculine for whatever that means to them?
Yeah, I think maybe not so much as no, I would say, yeah, no, some of my friends in college, yeah. They were they were as much of a dude as you could be. We go out on a Friday night, go to the bars and be like, trying to get laid. They weren't, they weren't some like, you go girl, you're 900 pounds with blue hair and that's beautiful. No, they'd look at them and be like, Jesus. But 10 out of 10 times they would tell you, hey, I'm voting on this because I believe in, a smaller military budget and, more money for domestic public transport. And those, yeah, few and far between. And those are the ones I respect the most because I go, oh, that's someone who's just thinking independently. And a couple conservative friends who, yeah, are like, yeah, no, I tend to not want to pay more in taxes, but I don't give a shit what you do with your. You want to go grow weed? Go. I don't care. It's very, and it's not more or less on one side or the other. It just seems to be a very small percentage period because we like tribalism. You want to be
Mm.
you want to be in the team. I'm for this and I'm for that and yeah, I guess I'm also for electric cars. And sure, because that's our team and they're Republicans. There's no thought. There's no
So,
do whatever
what
you
could
want.
influence the men if you like tribalism and you want to be on the team and you want to do the popular thing? What would influence men? That they're being told that masculinity is toxic. What would influence the men that it's okay to be masculine?
The the fear of the fearful thing of independent thought. That's my favorite comedian who I quote all the time. Tim Dillon says, looking through things through the lens of Democrat or Republican is simply the shirking of the burden of independent thought. You don't, it's easy. For the same reason people would rather just go get a job instead of trying to go do the retarded thing that I'm doing and try to build my own business. Like I got into medical school. I decided not to go.
Oh, interesting.
I graduated college 10 years ago this fall. By now I could be finished with medical school and finished with residency, and I could be a doctor making a more than decent amount of money.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I didn't want to do it. I
Mm,
wanted to do what I'm doing now because I wanted to be my own boss. That's what I wanted to do. So I don't think it really comes as a surprise that I am going for a more I'm going for a I'm doing more work than is necessary for not an impressive salary. But I want to do my own thing. I do not want to be told what to do. I'm wearing slippers right now. I did what, I woke up when I wanted to today. I'm going to visit family for a week. I didn't have to check with anybody.
mm,
I just said I'm not here this week. To me, that is worth more than 100 tons of gold, is to be able to sit on here and talk to you and say things like retarded or fuck or talk about a platypus fucking a fox. To me, that is worth more than a $1 million salary. So of course I also don't mind saying what I believe in general. I think people kind of go to the path of least resistance. Think of like a bowling ball,
yeah.
right? It goes to the left or the right, it hits the gutter, and then it gets stuck, and it's just perfect because that's where it wants to go. That's entropy.
Yeah.
That's where most people go. Is why examine? Why go out of your way to question it? Why go out of your way to question? Why do I think masculinity is toxic? There's no impotence for you. What do you care? I'm on the team. I'm on the left or I'm on the right. There's truly there's no reason for you to care. It's Now that thought might pop up every once in a while of, I don't think, women with blue mohawks and who weigh 600 pounds, I don't think they're stunning and brave. And then you might take that thought and push it back down and be like, no, 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 this is progressive. To me, that's a torturous existence. To,
Ooh.
but to them, they might go, yeah, whatever. Every once in a while, I have a thought that I have to shove back down. I would rather, like I've told you, take a decade to become my own boss and make much less money than I would as a doctor. But to me, I place value on doing whatever I want whenever I want, as that is worth more to me than any amount of money. Inversely, some people go, I'll fucking do anything to have a guaranteed paycheck.
Mm,
And so it stands to reason that they would also say, what team am I on? I'm on Team Democrat. All right, what are our things? All right,
mm,
I agree with higher taxes and better social programs. I don't really understand the whole masculinity's toxic, but what do I care? I'm on that
mm.
team. And
Do
they
you
might be
think
happy.
do you think there's a cost though? If there's a biological or psychological component for men, masculinity, if you squash this and you go with the current thing,
Is
is
there a
there a
cost?
cost to pushing that down? Biology, psychology.
Absolutely. It's
What's the
just,
cost?
well, it's like what they say about addicts or getting sober. Is you never actually get over the desire for, like in 2014 my older brother committed suicide.
Mm,
And so I was on clonazepam, which is like Xanax on steroids. And I think
yes, wow.
I think a big dose is like zero point 0.5 or 1 milligram
Wow.
a day. I was on 4 milligrams a day. I was
Wow.
on a fucking enough to put me in a coma for 9 months. And then I went cold turkey off of it. There is not a day that goes by that without the slightest bit of anxiety I go, fuck, I'd love some Xanax or love some clonazepam.
Mm,
But they just don't do it because it led my life down a horrible path. The saying is the joking saying and it's not a joke, is that you never actually like get sober or destroy the desire for these drugs. You just white knuckle it until you die.
ooh.
You just white knuckle it
Wow.
until you die. And you hope you don't relapse. You hope death comes first. Now, you might white knuckle it for 60 years. Ideally, I will white knuckle it until I'm in my 90s, and then I'll just die
Wow.
one day. And I'll go, hey, I never fucking started doing drugs. I think the same thing is true, is you probably just press it down forever,
Mm,
and it might manifest in other ways. You might, I don't know, gamble, or you might, I don't know, be angry at something or take it out on someone else. And it might be bad. You might be a bad dad. You might beat your kids. Some people snap entirely. They
mhm,
transition and then they realize they don't want to transition. And what a surprise, they'd fucking walk into a mall with a machine gun. I think there is a cost. It's a dark burden that you just press down every day. And hopefully you can press it down long enough that one day you just die and then you don't really have to address it. But it's like having a splinter forever. You never really
mm.
get rid of it. It's just, it's always there. And I look at it something like that's torture. I can't do that. So I have to speak my mind. Other people might go, yeah, whatever. You wake up, you go to work, you got to get food, you got to come home, go to the
Yes.
gym, you got to go to bed, blah, blah, blah. And then once in a blue moon, when they don't have something to occupy their minds, they might slowly think to themselves, ah, man, I am a fraud and I don't believe any of this. That seems like hell. But it seems that most people have the ability to just push it back. And who knows? Maybe subjectively, maybe subjectively, they don't actually view it as nearly as bad. Maybe you and I, like, you know, painkillers, like the most addictive thing.
Yes.
I have an addictive personality. For some reason, I have no idea why. I've taken painkillers. I don't enjoy them. I have no. And then nicotine, which is supposed to be like the most addictive thing, like heroin addicts say it's harder to kick smoking. I don't like. I don't like nicotine. Like I don't. So there's just like a thing where it's like it makes no sense. I have an addictive personality. You take the most addictive things, and I'm just like, no, I can't. I don't like them. Like
Yes.
what the fuck? It makes no sense. So maybe subjectively, the people that go, how can you not be addicted to this shit? I'm still trying to kick cigarettes. The inverse
Mm,
might be true. You and I might look at something like not being true to yourself. Man, that seems like hell on earth. Maybe if you put my brain in their brain, it might not register. You might go, oh, yeah, it's just a little thing. You just kind of brush aside. There are people who live their entire lives
yes.
trying to not, don't take Vicodin, don't take Vicodin, versus you could put a bottle in my house and that bottle will be full a year from now. I'd be like, yeah, I just don't fucking want it. It's not that I have superhuman strength. It's just not for me. So who
Mm.
knows? Maybe it's actually not that difficult for other people. And I guess I'm kind of jealous of that. My life would be a lot easier if I could just not give a shit.
So there's a room for individuality in masculinity.
Yes.
There's not a one size fits all. You can view yourself as masculine for your values. One is independence. Someone else's masculinity may be another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then who do you personally admire? Is there someone that you're like, that's a masculine guy? I admire those traits, whatever he embodies.
Uh, yeah, and I hate to sound like a hipster, but starting in like December 2011 is when I started listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't think he had been doing it for a full year. I just
Oh,
knew him as like the Fear Factor guy.
yes.
But like one of my friends sent me like a clip of him. I was like, oh, this is good. I didn't even know what a podcast was. And
Ah,
I hear these conversations and I would listen to it. And I was in college and I was like a pre med, just super hard headed, like, you know, almost too masculine, like to a fault. And I would listen to this guy who is like an MMA UFC motherfucker,
yes.
like bald, covered in tattoos. And he would talk about the importance of like lending a helping hand to those friends who weren't doing as well, and how it's important to talk about our feelings and depression and anxiety. And this is before I my brother died. And I remember I used to listen to him, and that used to inspire me. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, here's this hard motherfucker who's also
Mm.
saying, hey, it's okay to like be a loving person too, and tell you, because I would, to a fault, I would, if I saw someone struggling, I'd be like, work harder, like shut the fuck up
Yes.
and work harder.
Wow.
And that's not, as someone who's lost a sibling to suicide, clearly that's not always the path.
Yeah.
And that really inspired me. And now it kind of doesn't hold as much weight to be like, well, Joe Rogan. It's like, oh yeah, what do you also like Tom Brady? I'm like, well, that's the thing is I was like following his show before it was a thing. And now I've watched those very traits propel him to being the biggest in the world. So I can only imagine that other people also feel like that.
So there's some freedom in the duality that you can be masculine, traditional biology, psychology, and also it's okay to have individuality and to embrace all kinds of things. Maybe it's both, not one or the other.
It all comes back to independent thought. No one told him I was probably just as bad. I'm a man and you got to work hard at everything and just toughen up.
Yes.
And it's like, no, man. He would talk about like through psychedelics, you'd realize everything you think is your own thought, or it's mostly learned and taught.
Mm.
Like, where do you actually come down? And it's like, hey, that's a guy he's like he smokes pot and does mushrooms, and I used to be like, I thought that was hippie shit. But he also like hunts animals and like kills his own food, and he also like beats the shit out of people in an octagon. But he also like meditates, and I was like, what is this? And then you eventually conclude, you go, that's just someone who's thinking for themselves.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like this, and like you go to a buffet, you don't have to order something. You go, I want chicken fingers, I want ice cream, and I want some sushi. Like that's not a meal, but it is, and it's the best meal, right? So it's that to me, that's yeah, it's like everything. Immediate gratification has baggage in that you get the path of least resistance. Like it's also the easiest thing that is probably not going to be the best result. Conversely, if you do the thing that's more difficult, like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna have chicken nuggets tonight. I'll go get some lean chicken. I don't want to go to
You
the
got
gym
those
today, but I'm gonna wake up, and I'd rather just go get in the shower first for 45 minutes. How about instead you go to the gym for 30 minutes and then just take a 15-minute shower? You don't want to do that, but you do it. And then as the day goes on and as life goes on, you you get better results from often doing the thing you don't want to do.
Mm.
That also includes independent thought. It's so
Yes, wow.
no one's making you go to the gym. You can just stay in bed. No one's making you question your own. Why would you? Much like a warm, cozy bed in the morning, instead of
Yeah.
getting up and it's cold and you go to the gym to go do painful, self inflicted shit, why would you? If you've built your life around, I'm on Team Democrat or I'm on Team Republican, and you're just in those circles and you got your friend groups and you guys all go do things together, and
Yes.
why would you one day go, let's just stir up a bunch of shit and start questioning why I believe anything? Why would you do that? You wouldn't, unless you're like, maybe there's something better.
Mm.
I don't know.
And Tommy, what is your advice for the men?
It's the same advice for everyone, and it's sit quietly. I
Mm.
meditate every day. Sit quietly, and then there's a rabbit hole in that is, well, what kind of meditation? Don't fuck this. This is the same problem. Like, don't. Well, this guy said no. Think for yourself. It's. I've been meditating for 15 years. It takes a while, but you figure out what works for you. Do
Mm.
that,
Yes.
and if you sit quietly every day, you will know who you are. And
Ooh.
you will start to identify the things that you like. Not
Yeah.
because mom and dad did it and dad's dad did it and dad's dad did it, and not because well, I'm a white Irish guy from New England and I went to a Catholic school and I'm gonna blah 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 blah. No, it's like go do what's right for you. Go
Mm,
feel what's right for you. And if you go do that, you'll find out what you're supposed to be. And spoiler alert, it will be very uncomfortable at first.
mm.
But like going to the gym, no one's ever gone for the gym for a year and then regretted it. No one's ever done that. No one's ever gone, fuck, I got
Yes.
fucking biceps. Now I got abs. Are you kidding me? Like, no one's ever done that.
Yes.
Go, go do this and think independently for a year. Even just quietly in your mind. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to rock the boat. Just
Yes.
in your own mind. Keep a journal, whatever. You will in a year
Mm,
be more attuned with who you are. And then you'll go, oh, I find out who I really am. And then you'll go, oh, I'm not in the right place I should be.
yeah.
And then you're gonna have to start more shit, and you're gonna upset everyone you know, and that's fine too. I was an idiot, and I would try to convince everyone else I knew. That's the wrong move. What you should do is just go
Ooh.
go do what you is right for you, and you'll lose friends, and it doesn't have to be bad. It can just be you guys grow apart and whatever, and you go
Yeah.
do whatever the fuck you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Is spend 30 minutes by yourself. Joe, sit. If you can't do 30, do 10. Go just
Mm,
sit quietly, turn the phone off, turn on like a fan, something with white noise.
mm,
Just let your mind slow down, and who you really are will come to the surface.
mm.
Yeah, go do that.
Thank you so much, Tommy Kerrigan, for your thoughts on the masculinity crisis.
Yes, ma'am.